Now back to our leading story. Government is urging people to stay vigilant as a cold front sweeps across parts of the country. In the Western Cape, the province has experienced several fires at informal settlements as residents try to keep warm. In KwaZulu-Natal, emergency services say they are on standby ahead of tomorrow's Comrades Marathon. For more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Elias Sithole, who's the head of the National Disaster Management Center. Dr. Sithole, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Now, the last time we saw high levels of snow in the country, we saw highways that were backed up and people that were stuck in cars. And of course, there was that swift response in terms of rescuing them. Are you on standby for any eventualities in parts of the country where we're already starting to see this inclement weather?
Yes, no, good evening to the viewers as well. Yes, in the previous incident of the snowfall, we've learned a lot from that incident. So all our teams across the country, the disaster management teams that include also the fire and rescue services, we are on standby to make sure that each and every area we are monitoring. And then if there's any need, then we can easily respond to that area.
So, Dr. Sithole, which would you say at the moment you regard as high-risk areas, and what resources have you deployed there?
Yeah, the areas like your Van Rieenen on the N3, that is more or less, I would say, a high-risk area because there's a lot of traffic volume which is traveling in that road. But also, we are also monitoring the Western Cape, because as we speak, they are also experiencing heavy rains. So across the country, we have our teams on standby to make sure that those hotspots which we have identified, then we have our teams ready, specifically the disaster teams and the rescue operation teams.
And any collaborations that you're currently working on? I mean, we are seeing some of those informal settlements in the Western Cape where fires have broken out in those areas. Are you collaborating with other NPOs, NGOs and communities themselves in ensuring a faster reaction to some of these incidents?
Yes, no, definitely. We are working with the community structures to make sure that they're able to spread our early warnings to those communities maybe who might not have received it through the media or social media. But also we are working with NGOs to make sure that if something happens, then we're able to assist those communities. But of course, the municipalities, provincial government, and national government and other departments, they're on board to make sure that we are able to assist any community who might be exposed in the incidences of fires.
You spoke earlier, Dr. Sithole, about lessons learned from the previous incident. Are there different strategies that you would be deploying this time around? Do you have additional resources that you would be bringing in terms of technology that would assist?
Yeah, there are other provinces and municipalities which have procured the drones, and then those drones now and then they would be deployed if the need arises. But also, we have also activated some of other stakeholders. Like last time, we worked with the Sandra because they then also manage those highways, and also Department of Transports and other departments will make sure that they are on board. In case something happened, then we're able to tap the resources from those departments.
You spoke about the Van Rieenen Pass earlier with regards to being one of those high-risk areas. Do you find that when you're putting out messages, especially for communities not to use certain routes, that they heed the call?
Yeah, the lesson learned there, we've realized that even though we can actually communicate the message, but as government, we need to come to a point where we actually close any route which we see that it might be the risk. For example, if that route might be affected by the snowfall. And as government, we need to work with other stakeholders to make sure that we advise the motorist to use the alternative route, then we close those kind of routes. But as and when our teams are on the ground, they are giving us information in terms of what is the state on the ground. Then as then situation unfold, then we can make those decisions.
Lastly, Dr. Sithole, any responsibilities that you would like maybe highlight, especially to communities with regards to what needs to be done, what we shouldn't do in order for there to be a very swift response in case of any incidences that we might come across?
Yeah, we are aware that it's very cold outside. So the communities, they will tend to make fires in places which they shouldn't make any fires. We want to urge the communities to be careful in terms of making fires, because those fires, at the end of the day, if they are not managed, they can actually burn the informal settlement and then some of the residents of the communities. But also provinces which are experiencing heavy rains, the motorists and the communities or pedestrians, they must be careful in terms of crossing those low-lying bridges. But as government, we will continue to working with the communities to make sure that everybody's safe.
Most certainly, it is a combined responsibility of all stakeholders. Dr. Elias Sithole, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. That was the head of the National Disaster Management Center.